Here are the top tips that I wish I had known in my 5th year of playing the clarinet.
My name is Josh Gu, and I'm taking my years of experience learning, teaching, and performing, and sharing all of my best clarinet and music tips so you can get more out of your practice, and most importantly, have fun. You can learn more about all of my many resources at QuickStartClarinet.com, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell to get notified when I post new videos.
If you've been following along with this series, don't panic, you didn't miss year 4. I decided to skip from year 3 to year 5 because I think the year 4 stuff is very similar to the first 3 years of just sort of finding those fundamentals, getting the notes coming out, learning the notes, things like that. But as we continue to move on, I think bigger and bigger time intervals make sense. So that's why I'm here on year 5, what I wish I had known. My advice for this year has a lot of good stuff, again, because it's covering kind of year 4 stuff, and my next one's going to be year 10, so there's a lot of core things that are really important to playing the clarinet in this one. So the first one, I'm going to start with the kind of boring equipment stuff like I have been, and then go into the more significant stuff. And the reason why I say the equipment stuff is kind of boring is because it matters, but it only matters a little bit. And that's my tip, is that equipment doesn't matter as much as you think. I remember around 3 or 4 years into playing, I really wanted a Buffet R13 clarinet, which was kind of the mainstream professional clarinet back then. There wasn't the Tosca and the Festival and all these other from Buffet, much less from all the other companies. I think Selmer and Yamaha, they had their good professional instruments, but not nearly as many options as there are today. And I really so badly wanted that, and in my about 7th year of playing, I finally did get an R13. And I remember my first time trying it being kind of disappointed. I was like, this is the clarinet I've been wanting for a few years now, and I was told that it's a good professional instrument, and it was a good professional instrument, and I played that all the way up and through my first year of grad school before I got the clarinet that I'm currently playing on. And I was just disappointed because it still sounded like me. It still sounded like a clarinet. It wasn't this magically new, mind-blowing experience. And I think that's the tip here, is that equipment doesn't matter as much as you think. Unfortunately, there's no magic to it. There's no certain any equipment that's going to suddenly make you sound better. You're always going to sound pretty much how you sound. It might just be a little bit easier to do 1 or 2 things here and there. I will say, when it comes to equipment, especially around this 5th year, it might be worth looking into mouthpieces. In the last video, in the 3rd year video, we talked about sort of dialing in the reed strength. Now might be a good time to explore and experiment mouthpieces a little bit, because I think reeds make the biggest impact out of any of the equipment. Mouthpieces make the second biggest impact out of any of the equipment, because it's that reed mouthpiece combination that's the whole core to the sound. The instrument just resonates that sound. So reed and mouthpiece, very important. So maybe that's a little bonus tip here. Equipment doesn't matter as much as you think it does, but if you want to explore and experiment with mouthpieces, now might be a good time to do it. And they're a whole lot cheaper than a whole new clarinet. Next up, I think around your 5th year is a great time to really learn all your scales. Really know the major scales inside and out, all 12 keys. Minor scales are maybe an optional bonus, but again, I think getting into the minor scales is really worthwhile as well. I love the close scales, are a great way to learn them all through most of the range of the instrument. That gives you all the major keys and all of the melodic minor keys as well. If you've never heard of the close scales, you can go to quickstartclarinet.com/get started. And in my free members area, I have a handout of a cleanly typed up version of the close scales with key signatures that looks a lot better than the photocopy of a photocopy that I learned the close scales off of. But they're a great resource if you want to go there and check it out for learning all the keys. Again, this doesn't have to be something like, oh man, I've been playing for 5 years and I don't know all the keys of all the scales. I must be behind. No, it's not that at all. Take your time. Maybe this year is where you start learning it. Just one line at a time of those close A scales, or one key at a time, C major, F major, G major, just one scale at a time. I think at least 2 octaves now as a 5th-year player. I think you can go for those 2 octaves for sure. But don't stress about it if you don't know your scales yet. Now is a good time to start getting after them, start learning them, make a plan to just focus on one key each week. And I'm going to add one more level of difficulty there that's going to actually pay off massively in the long run. Try to memorize them. And I think that's doable. If you spend 1 week on one key, I think you can memorize it in a week. Spend the first few days looking at the notes, figuring out the key signature, where are the flats, where are the sharps. Second day, play it slow, steady. Third day, maybe you can play it a little bit faster, you more confidently know where you're going. And then by the 4th and 5th day, you can start memorizing it. And if you really learn it diligently like that, you're going to actually already be in the process of memorizing it rather than just flailing your fingers around. So learn your scales slowly, confidently, memorize them as best you can, and you're going to be a better player for it. Along with scales, maybe my best tip is that warm-ups and scales and those sort of simple exercises are fundamental. And what I mean by that is we aren't warming up just to sort of get going and playing for the day. We're doing these warm-up exercises to build our fundamentals of being able to play the instrument. I really like the 3-step warm-up, I call it, which is long tones, technique, and articulation. And what this is all about is in the long tones, you work on finding your sound, and you hold notes long, listen to the sound, make adjustments. Technique is about moving your fingers really rhythmically and in time. So as you're practicing those scales that you're learning, slow and steady, that's a great thing to be doing, is really going through it, thinking about the finger motion, memorizing the scales, not having to worry about the notes, so you can start thinking about finger motion while maintaining a good sound quality, of course. And then articulation is good, rhythmic, consistent tongue motion so that you're articulating notes nicely. And that's all you have to do in any piece of music as far as the instrument's concerned, is sound good, move your fingers to the right place at the right time, and shape the notes however the articulation indicates for them to be shaped. And that's all the clarinet has to do. And that's why warm-ups are fundamental, is because you aren't just sort of getting your sound going for the day. You're learning how to make a good sound on the instrument, how to move your fingers in a relaxed, natural way to get to all the notes. So warm-ups are the most important thing that you can be doing to get better at playing the clarinet. Of course, practicing the music is going to get you better at your music, but if you can't play the clarinet well and get the sound that you want well on those simple warm-up exercises, you aren't going to get it in the music. And speaking of really getting it on the simple exercises, that's a perfect segue to my next tip, which is to go slower and practice more accurately. That's the point of going slow, is to make it easy so you can do it accurately. Just like warm-ups are simplifying music to where long tones could literally just be holding one note, but we're simplifying the music so we can focus on the quality of playing. The same thing's true when we're actually learning a piece, is we need to simplify the music so we can actually learn how it goes accurately. I think this is very common for sort of 5th-year players and starting to be intermediate players, where you just are banging your head against the wall trying to play something fast, and you're always missing a note here or there, or messing up the articulation, or forgetting to do the dynamics. It's just every single time you go through it, there's like a handful of things that you didn't like about it. That means you're going too fast, and you're not giving your brain the bandwidth and the space to get exactly what you want and get all of those details. Music is very simple. Rhythms are just placing the notes with a steady beat. Notes are just putting your fingers in the right spot at the right time. Sound is just steady air, steady embouchure, good reed vibrations. All of those things are simple on their own. But when you start having to move with the steady beat at this time, to this place, at this dynamic, with this air support, moving the tongue this way, and start to build up the list, that's what feels complicated and overwhelming. What slowing down does is gives us more time to think about all of the things that we need to think about, and more of the things. So instead of learning something and banging your head against the wall, trying to do it at tempo and making a handful of mistakes here and there, and then realizing once you fixed all the mistakes, oh, I haven't even done the dynamics yet, so now I have to add that in, it gets really overwhelming to constantly be learning it and relearning it and changing it and going over and over and over. If you slow down, you can just get it right the first time. You can think through it and think, okay, that's where my fingers are going. This is how it fits with the beat. This is the dynamic. This is the character and emotion that this dynamic is doing. This is where I tongue. This is where I slur. There's a staccato there. Okay, now I have a good idea of what I'm doing. I'm going to do it really slow on the instrument so I can really nail every single component of that. Then you learn it, you got it, and you can do it. And the beauty of it is we always think, I need to feel what this is going to feel like at tempo so I can make sure I'm able to do it at tempo. But the biggest secret I can tell you is the key to doing it at tempo is being able to do it the way that you want, slow, and really connecting it to the beat when you're going slow. Then all you have to do is speed up the beat, and everything else should follow as long as you're really connected to the beat. Yes, there's maybe some maximums and some ceilings that you'll reach in your technique and ability to play fast, but we'll talk about that for year 10, because I think here in year 5, if you just take the time to get it and really be accurate with it, you'll find that most of the tempos you're needing to play are not going to be a problem. It's only a problem when you're banging your head against the wall trying to do it faster than you can do it comfortably and confidently. And now for my last tip here. This one's a little bit different. It's not about playing so much, but it's about your mindset. And I want you to not be comparing yourself to other people. My 5th year of playing was right about when I started high school, and it was a whole new pool of players. We started doing all county honor bands and all state and things like that. And it was so easy for me to sort of compare and think, oh yeah, I'm better than that person. Oh, that person's still better than me. So I need to get better so that I can beat them. And it's not a healthy mindset to have that, because 2 reasons. The obvious reason is if you're comparing yourself to somebody better, then you're going to be disappointed in yourself and think, oh, I wish I could do X, Y, and Z like them, but I can't, so I guess I should just give up. That's the obvious one. The less obvious one is it can make you really complacent. I had this where my freshman year I was like the best or maybe top 3 players at my high school. So I was like, oh, I'm better than everybody. I'm so good at this. Like, I don't even need to worry about it or practice or try that hard. And it makes you complacent where you think, I got this. I'm already better than others, so I don't need to improve. And that's also dangerous in a different way. Both of the comparisons to others leads to inaction, where you either think you're better than everybody, so you don't need to practice, or you think you'll never get to where those other people are, so you might as well just give up. Both of those lead to stagnation and not growing. What you need to do instead is compare to yourself and always be exploring and trying to find better for you. That's the most important way to be growing, is think, oh, yesterday I wasn't able to do this, so I'm going to work on it and explore and see if I can find better ways of doing it. And oh, I got a little bit better. And the next day I got a little bit better and a little bit better. And it's not always linear where you're getting better and better every day. Some days it's like, why is this so bad? I was really good at this yesterday and now it's terrible. And that happens. We play reed instruments after all. Every day the reed's going to feel different. Playing the instrument's going to feel different. And that's okay. But you're always comparing like, oh yeah, this is going well, this isn't going well, and you're getting more and more data of what you can do better and what you should do less of to do better and what you should do more of to do better, and you start growing. And it's that comparing to yourself and that growth that makes the big difference in the long run, rather than the stagnation that comes from comparing yourselves to others. So I hope that this was helpful and interesting. I think this one was maybe my best one yet, because it really has some long-term fundamentals, and that's why we're going to be skipping to year 10 for the next one, because I think the tips in this video will keep you satisfied for quite a while and are really the things to be focusing on. So if you're a 5th year player, let me know if you have any questions. If you're beyond your 5th year of playing, leave a comment with what you wish you had known in your 5th year, or sort of 5th through 10th years, since we have that little bit wider range now. And I love to get that discussion going of what would be helpful for those of you who are in your 5th year, or maybe coming up to your 5th year of playing now. I hope this has been helpful. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in another video. And last but not least, a huge heartfelt thank you to the Dennersons. This is like the QuickStart Clarinet family who supports the channel and helps to make everything that I do possible. If you would like to support the channel and get some awesome rewards in return, where we can work one-on-one over video and you can have my full support moving forward on your clarinet journey, then go to quickstartclarinet.com/supporter.